lot of people listening probably will be thinking, damn, I wish I would have went and, I'm locked in, and I wish when I set up my mortgage, I would have looked into this, and, or, maybe they have a renewal coming up, that kind of thing. But that would probably be the time to do it, right? If you're locked in on a low interest rate right now for the next, say, 3 to 4 years, you're probably just going to hold tight. Is that right?
It depends. So I almost never, there has been a handful of situations where it has made sense to pay a penalty, move to higher interest rate. But usually when someone has a lot of non-registered investments and in one move, we could make the mortgage fully tax deductible. It's called a debt swap. I won't get into the ins and outs. If someone wants to learn about it, you can reach out, or I'll do a video on it and send it to you. But 99% of the time, it does not make sense to break a 2% mortgage, go to a 5% rate and start the strategy. Because why would you? You're going to pay a penalty and a higher rate. But there's a trick where with certain lenders, we can actually port your mortgage at 2% to that same lender. You pay legal fees and an appraisal. They redo the charge on title to the collateral charge. Now you have the right product with your sexy 2% rate, and you can begin the strategy. The important thing to remember, because a lot of people get hung up on this, a home equity line of credit today is going to cost 6.7 to 7.2%. And a lot of people go, holy shit, I've got a 2%, a 5% mortgage, whatever. Why would I ever pay that down to borrow at 7%? And there's a couple things you need to accept. So first of all, if you've got a rate below market rates, you got to remember it's going to renew at some point. And when it renews, you go to current rates. It's inevitable. So you got to think long term. Number two, that 7.2 or 6.7%, whatever it may be, is tax deductible. So at a 50% tax bracket, as an example, your 5% interest actually costs you 7.5% because you got to pay tax on that money. Whereas that 6.7 or 7.2, you get to write off that interest. So it lowers the cost of it essentially. The last thing is that earlier on, I mentioned that these products with the right lenders allow multiple mortgages and lines of credit. One of the things that we'll do is after 2-3 years, you'll owe a couple $100,000 in this HELOC, whatever it may be. We'll lock it back into, let's say, a closed variable mortgage. Now you're apples to apples. The interest cost on your non-tax deductible mortgage will be very similar, if not identical long-term, to the interest cost on your tax deductible mortgage. Now you get all the benefits of the tax deductibility with no extra cost. But this is where it's important. You don't just do step 1 or 2, but you know all of the steps, because they're the difference of optimizing the strategy, lowering your risk long-term, and just making sure it's going to be a win for you.